Aloha and welcome to Hope for Hawaii, a heartfelt podcast series. Created by Sarah, a stress expert with roots in Hawaii and residing on the ninth island of Las Vegas. Her deep connection to both places has woven a unique tapestry of inspiration, love, and support for our Hawaiian community.
Welcome to Hope for Hawaii. I'm your host and stress expert, Sarah. We are here to offer a guiding light through this dark time. Our podcast, Hope for Hawaii, is a heartfelt endeavor, born to inspire those affected by the Maui fires and anyone else navigating adversity. Through heartwarming stories, our storytellers will give practical tools, help nurture you, and help you create resilience and foster a strong sense of community. And for those who share the spirit of aloha. Enjoy Hope for Hawaii. Hello and welcome back to Hope for Hawaii. I am so very thrilled today to bring on a great friend of mine. You know, we created this limited series podcast to help our friends, our family in Hawaii during the tragic time that happened with the fires, and to bring hope and inspiration and to instill resilience to whoever watches this. And I know it's become bigger than just our friends and family on the islands. So we're happy to share this with the country, with the world. And this next person that we have on today transcends time and space in so many other ways. And I will let her tell you more about what she does. But not only is she so much fun and amazing, the work that she does helps on such the soul level. And let me just introduce Jennifer Takagi. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, we share a similar background in the sense that we were in the corporate world, we've moved past it, and now we help so many people in other ways. So tell everyone just a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I started out as a federal employee, and I always had these little inklings, these little tidbits of intuition. And they came and went throughout my life. And it's because, like most people, we just don't pay attention. And I'm a Christian. I was born on a Monday. My first time in church was the next Sunday. So I've always believed. And I believe the messages come from many places. And God, universe, it doesn't matter to me. It all works. It all means what it means to whomever. So I don't get boxed in on that. But I woke up one morning sick and I was like, oh, I just feel so bad, but I really need to go to work. And once upon a time, my godmother had said, when God talks to you, it's soft and gentle, even if it doesn't make sense. But if it's the devil or your ego, it makes perfect sense, but it feels terrible. And I was like, well, thanks for that info. I don't know that I'm ever really going to need it, but thank you for that. So when I woke up this morning sick, I was like, oh, I need to go to work. But God, I feel so bad. I had bronchitis. I was so sick. And this soft, gentle voice said, stay home, take care of yourself. And I thought, well, that's really weird because I'm in my 30s. You don't stay home and take care of yourself. You go to work. You do the things. And then this very harsh voice came through and said, you need to go to work. And not only that, this is what's on your to-do list, and started listing all the things. And this little debate went on for, 10 or 15 minutes. And finally, I thought, I'm going to stay home for half a day. I'll just split the difference. I'll stay home half a day. So I called in, and my boss's secretary, Teresa, answered. And I was like, hi, Teresa, this is Jennifer. And she went, oh my gosh, you sound terrible. You're not coming in, are you? And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to try to come in at noon. And this is like 7:15 in the morning. And she said, okay, great. We'll see you tomorrow. I was like, all right, bye. So less than 2 hours later, the whole house shook. And I was on 134th Street, and my office was on 5th Street. And the whole house shook. And I was like, God, that's weird. What was that? Well, it's what came to be known as the day of the Oklahoma City bombing, April 19th, 1995. And that is my building. I was a federal employee and I worked for the Department of Housing and Urban Development in that building. And had I gone to work that day, I would have been killed. 35 of my friends and colleagues within my office were killed, and countless other people I knew in the building. And I got back a crumpled nameplate and a few family pictures. And I'm often asked if I have survivor's guilt. And for those of you who have been in a traumatic situation, whether it's the fires in Hawaii or something else, and you struggle with guilt on why me, why am I here, and why were they taken, and why did my house not burn to the ground, but my neighbors did. I'm in Oklahoma. We have lots of tornadoes. Why did my house, was it left standing and my neighbors was demolished? Because, those things hit. And my message to you is, it's not your day. It wasn't your time. And in the Old Testament of the Bible, so whether you're a Christian or not, the Old Testament is considered history versus religion or dogma. And there's a phrase in there that says, God knew the number of days you would walk this earth before you ever saw one. So I never had survivor's guilt because I knew it wasn't my day. I didn't know why it wasn't my day. I personally didn't have a feeling if I had something greater and better to do. And so I was saved, which people kept throwing on me. And it was like, man, I'm going to reject that because I'm not any better or any different than anyone else. So my take on it was, it wasn't my day, and my purpose is to bring glory to God. My purpose is to help other people in whatever way or capacity. So I always struggled with why some friends were lost. It was like, but she was so great, or he had so much knowledge. Like, why them? And I had that question. It was never why not me, but it was why them. And as you can't hear messages unless you're quiet and still. You can't.
And being open, right?
Yeah, and being open. And so the answers that kind of formulated over time were, they were taken because they were at work and they could not hear. God could have been jumping up and down, screaming and yelling, get in the stairwell, move from that window, don't go to work that day. Whatever message they could have heard, they couldn't because they were at work. They were on the phone. They were in meetings. They were actively engaged in things when you wouldn't normally hear these types of messages. So that's one part of it. The other part is, we don't have to have some humongous purpose. And for some of the people, they almost made a bigger impact after than they might have during, if their life had continued. And I don't say that in that, it's good that they died. No, not at all. I would have rather they all have stayed with me and that we never had gone through that. But I don't know what their path was. I don't know what their purpose was. I know that I grieve them. I know that I hated that they were taken from me and everybody else, right? Because it was, everybody was impacted. So that's one of those pieces of resilience is, okay, I'm still standing, now what? Versus, I don't want to be standing, so I'm not going to.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so much to unpack in what you just said. And, for those of us that weren't in Oklahoma, it still impacted us so far away. And knowing that all of the tragedy happened and what could be next. And we don't know what's next in our lives. And just like with what happened in Hawaii, we don't anticipate anything tragic or devastating happening to not only our entire world, our state, but in our communities, in our homes, with our friends, our family. And so that's a great point that you brought up. And, we don't know why. We don't. But when we do, when we are still, when we do listen, And you can call it intuition, you can call it God, you can call it whatever the whisper is to you. It is subtle, isn't it? And it does have a different feeling. And when you listen to that and you take that breath in and go, oh, that's it. That's what I need to listen to. And Jennifer, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to, share how you experienced that moment, because for many people that have that experience, they're not able to articulate it or put those into words of how you recognize it, what to listen to, and to actually follow through with going, hey, maybe that's what I need to do or not do today. And it may not be as devastating as what you went through, but it could be something as simple as, getting into a car or not getting into a car, or going to that, dinner party or not. And sometimes we just don't feel like it, right? But when we don't feel like it, like you mentioned self-care earlier, sometimes it's that you have to fill up your own cup, and it can be as simple as that, because if not, maybe we make bad decisions or, do something we'll regret because we're, tired or overly exhausted. So it opens up so much. So thank you for bringing up that it's such a heavy time in so many people's lives, because that moment will live on forever in the history of our country. Because it was so significant, and so will what happened in Hawaii. And I know you have some tidbits to continue to share, some tips in resilience and hope to share with everybody. So please tell everybody. And wait, before you even say that, let me tell you what this lady did. This is how great of a person Jennifer Takagi is. We were in Denver. And because I live in Las Vegas, because our winds were so high, we were actually supposed to get a tornado, which is, no, I'm sorry, a hurricane. You live in tornado land.
I have tornado and you're getting a hurricane. Like what?
Las Vegas doesn't have hurricanes or tornadoes, so I'm not familiar with either one, here in Vegas. But we were supposed to have catastrophic weather here in Las Vegas, and our airport was closed. And unfortunately, we were not able to get onto the flight home, even though the weather was fine in Denver. And as we last minute booked a hotel room, and we were with, hundreds and hundreds of other people doing the same, we walked past Jennifer Takagi, who was going home to Oklahoma, and the connection that we have of where's my next meal coming from? This wonderful woman goes, here's the snacks. And she pulls out, countless snacks and cheese and M&Ms and all of these different things. And it's like, here, ensure that you have something to eat tonight. Because everything was closed by then. So thank you for that. And have this understanding, those of you that are listening or watching, this is the type of person Jennifer is. Such a caring and kind person who's thinking about those things, and also is, listens to those voices and takes action. So,
well, that was so simple for me to do, but it could make a difference. Do you have cheese and crackers and almonds or not? Like, right? So, and I always bring snacks. I'm teased for it, but let me just tell you, when I show up without any, I was at Speakers Playhouse Live in New Orleans, and literally a woman I had said hello to, that was our only connection, was hello, came up and bent over and goes, I hear you have snacks. What do you I did. I take snacks. I didn't even have kids, but I would have been the best mom with having snacks for everybody.
And food is the universal love language. And being Hawaiian, that is how my parents, our family, expresses love. And so when we can share a meal or just receive, it's such a connection that just is so great. It's so great. So thank you for that.
Well, I have two quick car type intuitive moments that happened to me, and maybe the audience can relate to this. I was driving down the street, and there was a car to the left of me, and we were just about neck and neck, and we're coming up on a stoplight, but the light had turned green for us. And out of the corner of my right eye, I can see a car. And I knew in the blink of an eye, that car was not stopping. Mm-hmm. How do you tell the other car to stop that's next to you? This voice, you don't learn this in driver's ed. This voice said, slam on the brakes and the horn at the same time. And I literally, both feet on the brake, stood up in my seat and laid on that horn. My car tires are screeching. It scares her half to death. She slams on her brakes. She missed T-boning that car by just a fraction. And we both took a breath, and it was a weird intersection with like just a very short ways, and there's the next stoplight. And we make it to the next stoplight, and I'm shaking and I'm trying to breathe. And she has her passenger roll down the window, and she leans out the window and she goes, "Oh my God, you saved my life." And I went, "I know." I did. And it was nothing special about me. It was, I heard the voice and I did it. So another one was, I was going to a friend's. I learned to put in GPS only if it's 8 miles away, because you don't know what traffic's going to be. And GPS kept saying, turn left, turn left. Like every little block, turn left. And I'm like, I'm not turning left. I'm going straight to the highway and then I'll turn left. So my ego was saying, don't trust, my GPS is named Lola. Don't trust Lola. You just need to go to the highway. And I was like, I wish you would shut up. I make it to the on-ramp and I see a sea of red taillights. Lola was trying to have me turn left and go miss all the traffic, and I wouldn't listen. So I just suggest, start listening to those little silly messages that you think are inconsequential, because that's how you build your muscles and your skills at listening to intuition. But my 3 things, back to your point, Sarah.
Wait, as you were saying that story, a horn was honking. I don't know if you heard it, but there was somebody who hit the horn as you said that story.
In Oklahoma, we don't honk horns. It's rare here. So if somebody honks, everybody pays attention. It's like, oh, what? There's a horn. So yeah, we don't do that much here. So number 1, we have thoughts that run around in our head every day. Are the thoughts that are running around positive or negative? Pay attention. Identify the 1, 2, 3 tops thoughts that run through your head every day that are negative. Oh, you're so stupid. How could you have done that? You're so lazy. Why didn't you? Those type thoughts, rewrite them in the positive. When you rewrite them in the positive, then record them. You can just grab your phone. I have a cell phone here somewhere. Record them on your phone. You have a voice recorder on there. Play them. Play the positive messages multiple times. There's a free app called Think Up. I don't get anything for promoting them, but it's super helpful for me. You can record 3 affirmations and put some pretty little music for free and play them back. Spend time listening to those so you can start wiring your brain. Oh, I'm not an idiot. I just have an opportunity to learn something new. I'm not lazy. I just needed to take care of myself, right? So just flip it around. So that's 1. The other is visualization. So with all the tragedy that happened in Hawaii and all the devastation, the question becomes, what do I want it to look like? So we just know from past history, vegetation grows back. Maybe a new flower comes up that we had never seen because it was underneath, and whatever reason, I don't understand how forestry works, but I know that happens. I've read it. What do you want it to look like? How do you want your community to grow? How do you want it to be better? And I encourage you to write it out. Write your vision of how you want your life to be after, how you want your community to be after, and what would be the most spectacular way for your time to be spent. And you don't have to know the how. You don't have to know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's going to come together, what your role is in it. None of that matters. What matters is creating a clear and specific vision And when we write it down versus typing is good. But there are all kinds of studies out there that when something goes like from your heart to your brain and then down your arm and out a pen onto paper, it solidifies it in a different way. So that's the second one, is visualize what you want. Be childlike in your fantasy on what you want this to be like. We quit being kids for some reason. We're told to grow up and we quit. So be a kid, fantasize about it.
Be a kid. Love
it. Then what's one baby step you can take today to move towards that? We think we need to figure out how to get to the end, and we don't. It's one step at a time. I was asked one time, I was at a bar and we were watching a big football game, and this one friend of ours was not paying attention at all. And I said, do you not like football? And she was like, no, I don't get it. And I went, oh, okay, let me tell you. You have 4 tries to go at least 10 yards. After 3 times, most of the time they kick the ball away, but occasionally they go for it. And if my guy doesn't catch the ball, there had to have been pass interference. So we're just cheering for 10 yards. And she went, oh, wow. She got into the game and started cheering the whole time. I don't know if she ever watched another one or not, and that's not the point of the story. You know what to do. We're cheering for 10 yards. That's what we want, is 10 yards. Or if it's the other team, stop them from getting 10 yards. So what's one little thing you can do so that you can start moving towards that dream? And one thing can be quit having those pesky negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones. If you can't think of your own, I just gave you one.
That's a great start. That's a great start. And I love that. I love your 3 points, and, making things into the positive, making sure that you get it down and reaffirm them. And I'll put the think up in the show notes. And also, that bigger picture. There's so many of us that go, okay, what are those little details? But instead of details, you're talking about specificity of how it looks, what it's like. And to kind of take that a step further is, maybe also get with other people in the community and go, okay, let's share this vision. What's yours? What's mine? How can we make it bigger and better for this and for, everything else in life, right? Because there's so many different things where we're looking for that how, we're looking for that when that you were talking about. And you just go, okay, let all of that go. What's that bigger picture? What do you want? And, so many times we ask clients, what do you want? And a lot of times they don't know, right? They go, oh, I just know what I don't want. So flipping that around, going back to number 1, putting it into the positive. And then I'm going to say it differently, but cheer for the 10 yards. I love that too, because you're not always going for the touchdown, not always going for scoring the points. There's so much that needs to happen to even get there, to get yourself set up and in a good place to be able to score. So go for those 10 yards. I love that too. Oh my goodness. See, these are the types of, tips that when we break things down can instill hope, create that light that will shine even brighter as we go through life, because we just lost a good friend of ours, and sometimes our light gets very dim. And when we can have something to spark for us, that, like, you want to call it intuition or whatever you want to call it, God, universe, and to rekindle that light and to bring the flame back up. And going back to your story about Oklahoma City, wow, just the fact that you were able to listen to what was inside of you, the messages, the good and the not so good, and, what felt right for you. And it's tough, it's devastating. We all go through a difficult time in our lives, and this is one of them. But to have not only the hope, but moving that into the resilience part. And then whoever else you can help, and then they can help. And it creates ecology again. self to self, self to others, self to community, self to world. And I just want to bring all of that back around because you are a very, very bright light in that, my friend. So thank you so much for sharing your tips and tools and the things that help you through a difficult time, but also how to help everyone else move forward. So any last thought?
I have one more that really got me through those first few days after the bombing. We had been at a training, and a psychologist came in and did training on stress management and some things like that, just literally a month before. So the messages were really, fresh for me. And one thing he said was, most people struggle moving forward. And again, this is before the bombing even happened, because they try to apply fairness to the world. And he said the universe wasn't created with fairness in mind, no matter what your view of creation is. It's not fair to the worm that the bird eats the worm. It's not fair to the bird that the cat eats the bird. It's not fair to the cat that the dog chases the cat. And it's not fair to a chihuahua to live next door to a Great Dane. There's no fairness in it. There are unfortunate situations and unfortunate circumstances. And if we can look at something as unfortunate, that is actually a more positive way than unfair. So I would leave you with the thought, can you switch that thought and that pattern of this was unfair to it was unfortunate?
Wow. Unfair to unfortunate. That's a great way to wrap this up. Thank you, Jennifer Takagi, for all that you do. And everyone listening, continue to listen to Jennifer. We'll put her information in the show notes so you can learn more about her and more about what she shares in life. And if you got any hope or inspiration out of this podcast, please share it with others and continue to have resilience through these difficult times. I'm Sarah, and thank you for another episode of Hope for Hawaii. I wanted to take a second to congratulate you for taking the time for yourself, to filling up your soul, your heart with hope, joy, and resilience during this tough time. This has been Hope for Hawaii. Help support our mission to help those that need a little bit of hope and resilience right now in their lives. So like, share, and comment on what has resonated with you and what do you want to see next. If you have a story yourself that you want to share with the world, please go to hope4hawaii.com and share your story. Maybe we'll have you on the podcast next.